This is Radio Nepal. I'm Dela Prasai with the news. The headlines first. Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal Prachanda calls for cultural transformation to institutionalize social structure and political system. 4 people died due to lightning strike in Dang and Baglung. Nepal witnesses noticeable progress in reduction of child mortality rate, and Wagner vows to leave Russia after halting Moscow advance. Now the news in detail. Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal Prachanda has stated that future creations and research should not be limited to tradition. Addressing an event organized on the occasion of the 66th anniversary of the Nepal Academy in Kathmandu yesterday, Prime Minister Dahal called for cultural transformation to institutionalize the social structure and political system of the Nepali society. The head of the government said it was the foremost responsibility of the Nepal Academy to develop and promote every language spoken in Nepal, as well as the literature in those languages, as per the spirit of the Constitution of Nepal. The Prime Minister stressed the need for building a culture that reflects the spirit of the Federal Republican system. The Academy received around 3 dozen of poetries penned in various local languages for the National Poetry Competition this year. Also speaking on the occasion, Minister for Culture, Tourism and Civil Aviation, Sudan Kirati, discussed the importance of the poetry competition and its cultural aspect. Academy's Chancellor Bhupal Rai shed a light on the National Poetry Competition as well as the plans put in place by the Academy towards the preservation and promotion of languages, literature, philosophy and culture of the country. The trained dogs of Nepal Police have been mobilized in the search and rescue operation for people missing in the floods and landslides in the Songkhla Sabha district. 20 people have still gone missing in the floods and landslides in Songkhla Sabha district that occurred on the 17th of June. Chief District Officer of Songkhla Sabha, Siva Kumar Karki, said the trained dogs of Nepal Police have been used to search the missing people since yesterday morning. Nepal has witnessed noticeable progress in the reduction of the child mortality rate. Nepal Demographic and Health Survey 2022 report unveiled by the Ministry of the Health and Population revealed the reduction in the child mortality rate in the country. The survey stated that in 1996, 118 children under the age of 5 died out of 1,000 children, while now only 33 children of the same age group die. Similarly, the infant mortality rate has also decreased to 21 from 78 in 1,000. The Himalayan Airlines has resumed its direct flight between Kathmandu and Beijing yesterday after a 3-year interval caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. Vishnu Pukar Shrestha, Ambassador of Nepal to China, flew to Beijing in the resumed first direct flight of the Himalayan Airlines from Kathmandu to Beijing. The direct round trip from both capitals will be held every Saturday. Nepal and the Republic of the Marshall Islands established diplomatic relations yesterday. With this, the number of countries having diplomatic relations with Nepal has now reached 181. Ambassador and permanent representative of Nepal to the United Nations, Amrit Bahadur Rai, and Ambassador and permanent representative of the Republic of Marshall Islands to the United Nations, Madeleine Elizabeth Kabua, signed a joint communique to this effect in a brief ceremony held at the Permanent Mission of Nepal in New York yesterday. The two ambassadors also signed a joint letter informing Secretary General of the United Nations. Lightning strike has killed 2 people in Dang yesterday. According to police inspector of the area police office Tulsipur Nawaraz Kisi, local residents of Dangisharan rural municipality died in lightning strike that occurred in 2 separate places. He informed that the deceased were Ramnarayan Chaudhary, 37, of Dangisharan 3, Chako Raha and Samir Kesi, 32, of Dangisaran 6, died in lightning strike. Likewise, 2 children have died after being struck by lightning in Baglum. The incident took place at 9 p.m. yesterday when lightning struck the house of Chitra Bahadur Bige in Pakhapani of Thorpatan Municipality 5. The Social Security Fund has paid out nearly 5 billion rupees to contributors under the Social Security Scheme. The fund paid 4.79 billion rupees to contributors under various headings. The Social Security Fund has been running medical treatment, health and maternity, accident and disability, and elderly protection schemes, among others. So far, 84,673 contributors have received the facilities under different schemes of the fund. The Social Security Fund has so far collected 35.10 billion rupees from the contributors. 17,964 employers and 592,924 employees have been enlisted in the Social Security Fund so far. You are listening to Radio Nepal 8 AM English News Bulletin. We continue with the international updates now. The head of the Wagner mercenary rebels is expected to leave for Belarus after calling off his troops' advance on Moscow. According to BBC, Yevgeny Prigozhin and his troops will not be prosecuted, says the Kremlin. Wagner fighters have reportedly begun to leave the southern city of Rostov-on-Don, where their mutiny began. Prigozhin had called for a rebellion against the Russian army and his forces had captured Rostov, a major military post. Russian President Vladimir Putin decried Prigozhin's actions as a treason in a national television address on Saturday. But the situation escalated after negotiations between Prigozhin and the Belarusian leader Alexander Lukashenko. Security was tightened in Moscow and the mayor told residents to avoid traveling. All mass outdoor events have been cancelled until 1st July. Greeks vote for the second time in a month on Sunday, with Conservative ex-Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis hoping to secure a big majority. According to BBC, he convincingly beat his centre-left rival in May, but called new elections in a bid to govern Greece alone. The vote comes a little more than a week after a migrant boat tragedy off the Greek coast, in which 500 people are thought to have died. But the disaster has had little effect on the campaign. Mitsotakis Conservatives won last month's election by a 20-point margin over the centre-left Syriza party of Alexis Tsipras, another former Prime Minister, and he's confident of a repeat victory that would hand him a second term. But without a majority of more than 150 in the 300-seat parliament, he says his New Democracy Party cannot form the stable government that is necessary. Now the general weather forecast for the country for today. Forecasting Division says the weather is likely to be generally and mostly cloudy throughout the country. Light to moderate rain with thunder and lightning is likely to occur at many places in the country. There are also chances of heavy rainfall at a few places in the Bagmati province and Kandaki province and at 1 or 2 places of Koshi province, Lumbini province, Karnali province and Sudur Pashchim province. Kathmandu's weather report now. Maximum temperature of 29.8 degrees Celsius and minimum temperature of 20.5 degrees Celsius. With this news, we have come to the end of this bulletin. But before we wrap up the headlines, once again. Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dahal Prachanda calls for cultural transformation to institutionalize social structure and political system. 4 people died due to lightning strike in Dang and Baglum. Nepal witnesses noticeable progress in reduction of child mortality rate, and Wagner vows to leave Russia after halting Moscow advance. Well, that's all that we have for this edition. Our next English news edition is at 2 in the afternoon. You can also listen to us online at our website www.radionepal.gov.np for more news and online programs. Stay tuned, stay safe, and have a good day.